see people already starting to rock up, but we've got a few minutes before we start, so. Jonathan Pope, you're in twice. I'm not sure the meeting's going to be that good that you need to attend it twice. If any of you guys have any questions and bits and pieces, before there's a Q&A tab in the bottom, you can just write them in there and then we'll answer them as we're going along as well. Good morning, Christopher. Where are all you guys from? I got one guy here from South Australia. You got many Melbourne people in there? Yeah, I haven't turned on video yet, mate. I'll share screen in a little bit. We've got one guy from Melbourne, another guy from New South Wales. How's the lockdown going in Melbourne? I'm from Adelaide, so it's really no different here. We just don't have to hang out with people as much, which is really good. So Christopher's just saying, it's been full on. Unlucky where I live. I'm in regional, just outside Melbourne, so only stage 3. Yeah, right. Didn't Geelong or sort of the stuff's having pretty full on bits and pieces as well. I was in Brisbane a couple of weeks ago and like there's only 8 of us on the aeroplane. But on the way back, they just put us all in business class. It was awesome. I don't even know what Qantas are flying for that many people, but the funny part was I went out into the city on one of the nights and went to the local pub for dinner, and it was 50% off everything, all alcohol, all food, everything. And I was just like, oh my God. I had a steak, chicken wings, and a chicken salad and a tequila for $32. And my mate Colin's here, Ian's here. Just a couple more minutes away from starting, guys. Natasha, where are you from? As I was saying before, guys, we'll start in a few minutes. We'll just wait for a few minutes for people to join in bits and pieces. But there's a Q&A tab down the bottom. Any questions that you have, just put them in there. We will do a bit of a Q&A session afterwards, so you can ask any questions. So we're going to be running through all the new bits and pieces of the latest update of NX. But feel free to ask generic questions at the end about NX as well, because some of you have seen more of it than others, and some of you know more about it than others. So, yeah. As I said, we've still got people joining in, so we shouldn't be too far away from getting a start. Natasha's from Melbourne as well. Oliver, probably about 30 minutes, mate. It shouldn't go too long. There's a couple of cool new features of NX which we're pretty excited about. One of them, people have been pushing for us to do for a few years, and we finally got it up and running, which we're pretty happy about. But it just depends how many questions get answered at the end as well. Ian's answered, how's my back? My back is good. I hurt my back about 2 weeks ago, being stupid. Being really stupid, actually. Sometimes I forget that I'm 42 years old and I can't deadlift 200 kilos anymore. Okay, so we'll just get another couple of minutes, guys and girls. Okay, we will be running another. We will be running another call, another webinar in a couple of weeks, and this one's actually going to be a bit different. So we're going to have Tony Luce and one of the Sergeys hosting this one. Tony Luce is the head of marketing for NX, amongst a few other hats that he wears as well. And Sergey is one of the lead developers. So you'll be able to come on and pretty much ask any question you want in regarding to any of the development, R&D bits and pieces of NX that's going forward. So that will be a really cool one to be involved in, because you'll actually be able to say to Sergey, look, I really want this feature, and explain to him, and he'll be able to explain why we can or can't do it, or if we're actually already looking at doing those sort of bits and pieces. There's not so much those two guys don't know. They're actually pretty cool for that sort of stuff. So that we're looking at running that one on the 9th of September. So about 3 weeks away, roughly. And Daz, I totally cannot deadlift 200 kilos anymore. I tried, and that's how I pulled my back out. So yeah, the funny part about it is I got 190 kilos like it was nothing, and then at 200, just Not so much. All right. We've still got people joining in, so we're just going to give it one more minute. And just so you know, Daz, as well, I actually started doing a few different Reuben sandwiches around South Australia over the last few days. There's a place in Glenelg which has a pretty good one, but not as good as the one from last week. I'm actually going there for lunch today, Des. In case any of you are wondering, my wife runs a cafe here in Adelaide, and it got voted best cafe in Australia for the last 2 years running. And they've got a restricted menu going at the moment. And on that menu is a Reuben sandwich, and it is pretty awesome. All right, so we're going to make a start now. I'm just going to share my screen. I hope all of you can see my screen. So it's not a particularly long meeting today. We're just going to run through the new features of NX, and then we'll show you a little bits and pieces, and then a little bit of a Q&A at the end for any questions you have of stuff that we're doing. But as I said, in 3 weeks' time, we are going to run a full Q&A session with Tony and Sergey, and you'll be able to ask them any technical question you like on any level you like, including features that you'd like, or features you'd like explained better, or why we don't do certain features, and also what NX is going to be doing in the future. That's a pretty big one at the moment. People keep asking us, are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Literally just before this meeting, I was on the phone with my mate Dylan, and he's asking, why don't you do this, that, and the other? And I'm like, well, because the easiest answer was, we are looking at doing the things that he was asking, but we can't do everything at once. So let's make a start. All right, so it's basically a brief overview of 4.1. So 4.1 is an update that started getting pushed out about last week. You can already download it from our website if you want to do your own in-build upgrade. But over the next few weeks, they'll start getting pushed out, where you just be able to hit the little blue button in your client, and it would update your software. It is a pretty big update. One of the biggest things, and the first thing I'm actually remind people is, if you have an NX1, you cannot put this update in. It just doesn't have the power to take it. But we've been communicating that around to people for a fairly long time now. All right, here we go. The first thing is, we have added in these 5 features. Push notifications, which is obviously a big one. New embedded browser, which is pretty big as well. Health monitoring, which once again is pretty big. Camera web page, which once again is pretty big. And the new analytics region of interest configuration, which is, for the first part, mostly to do with Hanwha stuff. But as other brands become into that as well, we'll be adding more brands into that, bits and pieces. All right, so, but wait, here we go, a video from Tony. It's a short one. Basically what they've done is they've changed the logo. Marketing, what are you going to do? All the new marketing assets and bits and pieces, all the new logos can actually be found on my.network Optix. You just go in there, any marketing you want to do, we actually make them freely available for anyone to use. They're all there with all the guidelines. Just go into assets. In there as well, you'll also find all our documentation, including not manuals, but brochures and bits and pieces like that. Also find all your case studies as well. On that though, if you guys do a cool job, let us know and we'll do a case study about it. We've done one in Australia, which is for Australia Fair Shopping Centre in Queensland, and it was really cool. But if you do something that's, you know, cool and you think, you know what, this would make a really good case study and I want to get some mileage out of it, let us know and we'll do a case study, get it up and get people known about it. You know, get it into SEN magazine, those sort of bits and pieces. We're working with, you know, one of the distributors who, one of the SIs in Victoria, who's just won, you know, a massive job. And we, you know, we're going to do a case study about it, just make them look good. You know, take some nice photos and make them look pretty to the world. Push notifications. Alrighty, finally, push notifications allows operators with correct roles, permissions to create rules in the rules engine, which will send push notifications to the mobile client. The big thing is, and this is the most important thing, is you need to have the latest version of NX Mobile 20.1. Also, you need to be a registered cloud user. That's really important as well. So I'm just going to hit play on this. So it's time for version 4.1 of NX Witness. Some big updates. The first feature which we're going to go over today is push notifications. Push notifications is a feature that people have been asking for a very long time. Our developers wanted to do it right. So that involves new features, building in new features, the server application, mobile application, and then the cloud layer. So let's get into the feature. One thing you might have noticed with version 4.1 of NX Witness is we've got a new logo, which is W, and it's split in half in blue and white. It's got NX gray behind it. A lot of people have asked us why it looks like two P's, and the answer to that is in our intro video. If you look at it, X just turns into two cameras, 6 foot round, and it's witness. We've seen some stuff. The best way to explain it. So brand new branding. We hope you like it. So you may have noticed your background changed and your desktop icon may have changed to that W. So that is the new face of the next witness technology. We also have new branding for our Meta platform. If you're interested, you can go take a look at some of those videos. So back to push notifications. Push notifications. Long sought after feature, like I said earlier. To use push notifications, you need to go to the rules engine, right? So to get to the rules engine, click on the hamburger, go to system administration, or right click on the system icon here and go to system administration, or do what I do and be lazy and right click on the camera, go to camera rules. So it's really just a right click and a left click. And the camera rules will filter by the specific camera you came from. If you want to get rid of that, just click that X. So we are going to look for the notification I set up, and in the rules engine, the action is called send mobile notification. So I've set up a rule here. I set up a soft trigger on all the cameras on the NXT in our demo system, and I'm sending the alert to, I'm using that, so I'm making that soft trigger available to all the users in the system. That includes the demo user. So you can try this on our demo system yourself. And the name of the icon that I set up for the soft trigger, or the name of the soft trigger is send push notification, and then I use the notification icon, which is sending push notification. So in the action field, like I said, you want to choose send mobile notification. And I think that instead of sending push notification, our guys, we already had a show desktop notification just to make sure you don't get confused. We're sending mobile notification. Maybe web later. No, I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen. So send mobile notification. And then the interval of action here usually defaults to no more than once per minute, so you don't get lots of messages at the same event. But I'm going to disable that because we're doing a demo. And then when in its default condition, you're going to see it like this, where it's going to say send it to who. And if you choose all users, you'll get this notice down here. If you have any users that are now not cloud-based,
then they will not get push notifications because you have to have a cloud account and you have to be logged into that cloud account on your Iniquitous mobile application in order to be able to see push notifications and receive push notifications. So very important, make sure you have a login mobile application on your cloud account in order to get push notifications. So in its default role, you just have this unchecked custom notification here. It won't be checked. And so I've got actually my mobile app hooked up to the Samsung DeX so you can see what's happening. So let's see what happens if we send the default notification. So let me scooch that down. Let me grab this camera here. Here's my notification icon. I'll go ahead and push that button. Right, and if you look here on my screen, I will get a notification. This is a push notification. Oops, that's not what it's supposed to look like. Let's try that again. I did not press apply on the rules, did I? There you go, now I pressed apply. So let's try it again. Send push notification. So when I send a default push notification, it's just going to say soft sugar send push notification. This is the name, and it was sent from the soft sugar. And then it had the name of the camera in the text body. I'll do it again so you can see it again. So send it, soft sugar send push notification, advanced PGC unlock. So this is coming from the advanced PGC unlock camera. That's the default text, right? But now let's say I want to customize that text. Okay, I'm a custom notification type. Okay, this is a push notification. I'm just going to do a description of what's actually happening. Just test. Nobody freak out. Sorry if it's late and your sound is still on. So that's in case anybody's, got their sound on our mobile application installed. Like our sales guy or somebody, our CEO. So this text is now going to come in. The header is the highlighted, the big text you saw in that push notification, and the body is the text below. So it's customizable. Now, one thing to note here when I go to custom notification content is we've got add source device name and body. And what that does is just like before, it's soft sugar send push notification, and then it says, advanced PGC unlock. That was the name of the camera. If I check this, I leave this checked, it'll input the name of the camera. So if you set up one rule that applies to many cameras and you want to know where that alert is coming from, like on a soft trigger, then you should maybe add the camera name. But since I don't really care and this is a test, I'm going to remove that so it's a cleaner body. And then I press OK and apply. And now let's try it again. So first notification, and then you can see my custom text come in here. See my phone any second now, unless I messed up, which I may have. Check that rule again. Send mobile notification, interval of action, instant OK. Try it again. Maybe it's push part. There you go. This is a push notification. Just a test. Nobody freak out. Sorry if it's late and the sound is wrong. So what happens if I get that notification and I don't click on it? Well, it'll just be stored in your notifications list, right? So let's see. I'm not very familiar with Samsung DeX, but I guess I got notifications here somewhere. Yeah, there you go. So if I click on that push notification, it's going to open up the camera and go to that specific time where I pushed it. Now, this is within 1 minute, so it didn't bring up that particular camera, but here it is up here. For an event where you send a push notification, when the user clicks on it, as long as they don't click on that notification within 1 minute, it should pull up the event-related video. So if they push on it immediately, it should launch that camera as well in the mobile app. Try it again. So you can see there was a camera snapshot in there, and then it opened up that camera to that particular view, which is really foggy and not very clear right now. So this is Samsung DeX. That's what push notifications look like. Remember, you have to be a cloud user and you have to be logged in to the cloud on your mobile app in order to receive push notifications from the system. But it's customizable and it's there. One other thing to note is it's only available in version 20.1 or higher of Iniquitous Mobile, which is already from us, go ahead and upgrade to 4.1 and enjoy the ability to customize push notifications. Thanks.
Okay, sorry if the volume was a bit low there at the beginning. I will show you how to do that live as well in a minute. I've got one set up where I can show you all the bits and pieces as well. Okay. Analytics region of interest configuration. It's possible to draw lines, boxes, polygons, and more when configuring video. In initial release, as I said at the beginning, this is just with the Hanwha cameras. We are working with more cameras to do this. We are at the end, the next patch, we're actually releasing a heap of new integrations for cameras and bits and pieces like height vision thermals, Bosch, and a few other bits and pieces as well. But as it says, like in our community forum, if you go in there, you can actually just say, I want X, Y, and Z done. You know, we had one done last night, and the guys actually thought, yeah, it's actually a pretty cool one. We'll actually do that. But this is just a video on how this works as well.
Another cool new feature in version 4.1 is what we call analytics ROI. ROI stands for region of interest. Now, one thing to note is it's only available in the initial release of 4.1 with Hanwha cameras. Instead of Hanwha cameras, that's what we got. And we're going to be adding more camera support, but like with most things, this is the first. So, adding a few active. So, Hanwha, I'm going to pull in this camera, known to us from Hanwha. See right now, it looks like a normal camera. I'm going to go up here though, and like go to objects, where you can see there's lots of different types of objects. Everything that's shown in yellow here are different types of objects the camera has, right? You got vehicle tracking, you got people tracking, you got license plate tracking. So
Yeah, guys, I know that the volume's low, but I can't actually turn it up. It's really annoying. Like I'm at full volume. There's no way for me to turn the volume up higher. I do apologize.
let's say every time over here on the object scene, if I want to, I can double click. I go to that timeline, go to that one, place back in later. Pretty cool. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually filter to license plate. Take a look. We got license plate stuff going on here. So we got a few here and there. Yellow lines down here. Let's go down to this one, 923. And typically you would have to go to the camera website. So camera settings here, going more intro, and clicking on that camera's IP address. In version 4.1, actually, we made it a little easier. You can go straight to the camera's web page here under web page, and it will automatically proxy and log you into that camera web page. That's not how you do the ROI interest. That just says you go into better job of 4.1. Where you find the region of interest configuration is actually in plugins, and that is because each one of these camera manufacturers is being integrated using our metadata SDK. It allows you to grab objects, their paths, and their location, their coordinates, bring that information and store it right next to the video, and your next one is VMS. So, I go to plugins, and you can see the different types of analytics that this camera has supported and are enabled. So shock detection is not enabled right now, tampering is enabled, defocus is not enabled. And then you've got all AI objects and IVA.
We just figured out the
under
audio
AI
guys, so
objects
just
and
start this video
IVA,
again.
another cool new feature in version 4.1 is what we call analytics ROI configuration. ROI stands for region of interest. Now, one thing to note, this is only available in the initial release of 4.1 with Hanwha cameras, and with a specific set of Hanwha cameras that have AI capabilities, as far as I understand. We're going to be adding more and more camera support, but like with most things, this is the first release, and so we'll be adding additional camera brands in the form of patches and updates as we go along. So, Hanwha, I'm going to pull in this camera loaned to us from Hanwha. You can see right now it just looks like a normal camera. I'm going to go up here though, and if I go to objects, well, you can see there's lots of different types of objects. Everything that's shown in yellow here are different types of objects that the camera has detected, right? You got vehicle tracking, you got people tracking, you got license plate tracking. So let's say you can see every time over here on the object, see if I want to, I can just double click. It'll go to that time when it's looking at that one type of event, right? And it plays back the related videos. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually filter to license plate and take a look. See what we got license plate stuff going on here. So we got a few here and there. See the yellow lines down here. So let's go down to this one, 923, and there you go. There is a car pulling in, and a license plate has been identified. Let's go one more forward. So here we go again. We got another car pulling in, and the license plate has been identified. Now, if I would like to see the objects, you go to Objects, Frames, and Info. You go to Show Always, and it's going to highlight when that is identified right there. See that? So there's where you get your object tracking. Now, how do you configure when these rules apply, right? Typically, you would have to go to the camera web page, which would involve you going to the camera settings here, going to the more info, and then clicking on that camera's IP address. In version 4.1, actually, we made it a little easier, and you can go straight to the camera's web page here under web page, and it will automatically proxy and log you into that camera's web page. That's not how you configure the ROI region of interest. That's just a new bonus feature with the new embedded browser 4.1, which is a feature I'll be going over next. Where you find the region of interest configuration is actually in plugins, and that is because each one of these camera manufacturers is being integrated using our metadata SDK, which allows you to grab objects, their paths, and their location and their coordinates, and bring that information and store it right next to the video, and your next one is VMS. So I go to plugins, and you can see the different types of analytics that this camera has supported and are enabled. So shock detection is not enabled right now, tampering is enabled, defocus is not enabled, and then you've got all AI objects and IVA. So under AI objects and IVA, you can see it's been configured right now to have a certain size. So I only want to look for objects that are this big, right, as opposed to small objects way back in the back. That's one way of dealing with it, right? Another ways are with lines and areas. So let's configure a line, right, because this is for person tracking on the driveway. So if we go here and say like entry line, right, and enable it, and we click here on click to add, then it will pull up a shot of that video, and I can actually add a line here at the end of the driveway and say I only care about people coming in, right? I only want to be alerted when people come in and they cross the driveway threshold, you know, because then somebody's coming to say hi or whatever it may be, right? I can change the color. I can pretty much do whatever I want here. right? And I can press OK, and now you can see it's been applied, and then I can press apply, and it will be applied to the camera itself. So that is ROI configuration in the camera itself, and then that is how you go in and you configure the analytics on Hanwha cameras. Again, integrated via the metadata SDK, so it is a plugin, and it's available on NX Witness VMS. Pretty cool feature. Check it out. Analytics ROI configuration, version 4.1.
Okay. Sorry about the audio before, guys. Okay, so this obviously is a new feature, and as I said before, if you want other camera brands done, we have this community forum. Put it in there, and the guys will, whichever ones get the most votes, generally the ones they do first. We did Hanwha first because, as some of you probably know, we make Hanwha software for them. So they paid us a lot of money to do it. Next one, health board monitoring. This is a pretty cool one. Primarily designed to be for the support team. So what used to happen when there was an issue with the NX is we'd get you to download the log. And to do that was reasonably complicated to be able to do it. So we just made it easier for ourselves, is the nice way of putting it. I'll actually just show you how to do this, is the easiest way of doing it. So I'm going to grab system here. I'm going to go to the web client. Information. And if you look here, I've got the system, I've got the servers, I've got all the information, I've got the cameras, all the cameras, whether they're online, offline, what issues they're having, what resolution, all the bits and pieces of that particular camera. The secondary stream, everything that I could possibly know. The storage and the network interfaces. So it's a pretty detailed account of what is actually going on with that particular machine. And what you can then do is download full report. And if you've got an actual issue and support is asked for the report, you can literally just go download full report and then send that straight through to support, and they've got a better understanding of what's going on. But it's a pretty cool free update. If you've got an issue like, oh, what's going on with this particular camera, what's going on with this server, what's going on with this hard drive, it's all there now at your fingertips. Same thing, you don't need to go to site. You can just do it from your client or from the web page. It's pretty cool. Cool. I'll take questions on that afterwards as well. New embedded web browser. This is a pretty important one, as you'll see with this feature and with the next one as well. Just got back to the push notification.
So it's time for version 4.1.
For some reason, it's got the wrong video in there. Okay, so embedded web browser, what this one is if I go to my web pages in there, what used to happen is if you're going to specific web pages and bits and pieces like that, you couldn't do certain things. It just didn't allow you to do a lot of bits and pieces. So when you were going to specific things, you couldn't go in and type Hanwha, and it would allow you to search and stuff like that. It just didn't have that feature. So what we've done is we've updated the web page. Now, if I'll put a web page in YouTube. Brings it up. Hopefully nothing bad shows up. If I type in NX Witness, all the bits and pieces come up. It'll also remember your logins, or remember all the bits and pieces like that for you as well. So, you know, I can take a video, I can look at bits and pieces and stuff like that.
So as you,
it's a pretty cool update, and it has a lot to do with what you'll see on the next actual feature. So on the next feature, camera web pages. This is, why has he got the wrong video again? So I'm just going to show you this one as well, am I? Yeah, looks like I'm showing this one as well. No issues. So what we've done with 4.1, and we're pretty happy with this one, and you guys should be as well, is with the ability to, if I right click on a camera, I go to camera settings, and there's a new page here called web page. What I can actually do is bring up the actual web page of that camera in the client without having to port forward the camera or anything like that. So if you're at your office and someone rings up and says, oh, look, can you change the settings on a camera? You don't need to go there. You don't need to do anything. You just go to the client, type in the password, same as you normally would, and up comes the camera. Slowly. Now, to get all the full features of this, the camera does need to be able to work on Chromium. So some of the older cameras that you remember from some of the brands mainly coming out of China only worked with ActiveX. So what you may need to do is either find out if there's a firmware update or just there's nothing you can do for the moment. Pretty slow internet connection to this particular building. So what this enables us to do is, without leaving our desk of wherever we are, we can do full configuration of the actual camera itself. Yeah, so yeah, Oliver is right. So a lot of the Hikvisions have a firmware update that you can do. So this particular one that we're looking at the moment, that one didn't work yesterday. And I got Hikvision to actually put in a firmware update for me, just so I could show you this one up and running. So in this particular one, later on down the track, if you wanted to, you could update the black and white list. So for the license plate recognition and bits and pieces like that. That's kind of the point of this, is that you'll be able to configure the camera with its own edge-based analytics without actually having to go to site, updating whitelist, blacklist, doing all those sorts of cool bits and pieces without actually having to go to site inside NX. So this will work with a number of different brands as long as they've got that Chromium support. We are looking at doing it. So if you see on this one at the moment, when it comes up, it's a really slow internet connection on this particular camera. Don't know why. So if you notice on this one here, on the web page itself, when I go hit play, it says live view failed. That's because they're running an outdated version of Chromium in their thing. So Hikvision are doing another update to update it to the latest version. Yeah, but with other brands like Axis, Vivatech and bits and pieces like that, this all works perfectly and away you go. So if you're doing like a line crossing and bits and pieces like that, you'll actually be able to draw it in the actual camera without actually having to go to site or adding whatever you like. It's a pretty cool feature. And for the SIs out there, it enables you to have a lot more control of the site as it's going on without actually having to go to site. So you have to dial into the camera first to enable this particular feature before it shows it in the playground? No, you just go into the client. So literally so if I go to any of the systems that I've got, that one's not running 4.1. My demo system in Australia, which I'm very happy he lets me use. If I right click on the camera web page, it's just there. You don't have to do anything. It's already enabled. You just got to know the username and the password for the camera. It is a cool feature. So let's say your machine has 2 network cards, so your camera network is on a separate subnet. No, it's fine. It's the same as this one. So this particular machine that I'm logged into at the moment has 2 network cards, and I can log in, hopefully. Has 2 network cards. This is on a completely different network range than what the actual machine is. Away we go. Does that answer your question, Christopher? Hope so. And there it is. Right. It went. Yeah. There. Live view failed. As I said before, that's expected. Chat. Yes, cheers, mate. Thanks. So this is, as I said, this is a really cool feature. As far as SIs goes, this makes life a lot easier for you and bits and pieces as well. So rather than having to port forward your cameras and bits and pieces like that, so you can actually control them, you can actually just do this from your desk, from wherever you are. And it doesn't matter what the camera brand is. You know, as long as it's got a web page running, you know, it can work on Chromium, away we go. So, you know, it's a big feature update. We're really happy with it. In saying that as well, what you could do, and this is probably to do with Integrity more than anything. Integrity have their own web page. You could actually bring in their web page and have that showing on the NX client. Yeah. So there's not just as far as, you know, configuring cameras is going. There's a lot more features that you know, a lot more you can actually do with that one. We're really happy with it. So other noticeable, you know, improvements: better server selection while connecting to the cloud. We've made that a fair bit easier. Two-way audio API. So if you've got you know, cameras with a microphone or speakers and bits and pieces, you can do two-way audio. Time zone option with virtual cameras. So I hope you guys know what the virtual camera rule is, but if you don't, if you've got like a body camera or a GoPro or anything like that, you can actually bring that feature in, bring the video footage from that in just by going to new, going to virtual camera, and then bringing in by upload all the video from that virtual camera. And that's a free feature. We don't actually charge for that. So if you see there, it says time, ignore time zone in the uploaded files. So that's the new update then. Oh, we've had another question come in. Web page camera, web components, are they already preloaded? We don't support ActiveX at all. It's, yeah, ActiveX is a dead technology. You know, even Windows don't support it anymore. Can you push camera's time and date update somehow? Can you push the camera's time and date to update somehow? I mean, you could buy the web page if you wanted to. I had to dial in each camera and turn off its time and date because it was out from NX Witness. like a watermark type thing. Honestly, mate, I'd probably ask Ryan that question. I'm not sure if he's in on this meeting. Ryan's our support guy in Australia. Yeah, Ryan's in. Hang on. Ryan, you got a microphone? I'm allowing you to talk. Ryan's run away because he was scared. But yeah, so Ryan, our support guy, I'll put his email in. I think I did already ask him and he told me to turn it off. There you go. Ryan's good like that. Ryan generally answers with the same answer. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Are you sure it's plugged in? Mainly because he watches too much TV. Oops. Additional action parameter placeholders for the HTTP request action, server side motion detection. Yeah, so that's pretty much 4.1 as an update. Now we're just going to take a few questions if any of you guys have them, and then we'll let you get back to lockdown or whatever it is that you're doing. So if you guys have any questions now, put them into the question and answers and we'll answer them to everyone. Peter has raised his hand. Hello, Peter? Peter? No. Are you there, Peter? Okay. So any questions, guys? No? Oh, we got one more. Where is the speaker output playing in sound rules? Generally, it should play to the rules off the actual server itself, or can you install the client somehow on a Raspberry Pi? No. No, the Raspberry Pi, you can't install the client. You can use the Raspberry Pi as a standalone recorder, obviously, but you just have to configure it from your laptop. We've got heaps and heaps and heaps of guys using Raspberry Pis. Like heaps. We got one guy who's sold 50 or 60 of them already. He's just got 4 cameras on each one using a starter pack. It's a cheap replacement for the NX1. Do the smart events need to be configured in the camera web interface as well? No, you just do that in NX, depending on the events. So obviously NX itself does smart search, but if you're doing LPR and bits and pieces like that, obviously you need to set up the license plate recognition in the camera first, and then you're just creating the rules in NX off that. So the camera itself, as an example, has picked up license plate ABC123, and then in NX, it's to recognize that the camera's picked this up, and then you're triggering it to do whatever you want: open a gate, push notification. Might be a question for the devs, but is there a plan adding NFS or glue to it for storage options? That's one you put through to the dev team. So as I said, on August the 9th, we'll be having a question and answers with Tony and Sergey, and you'll be able to answer those sorts of questions. Storage into the cloud and all those sort of bits and pieces, whether you want to do all those sorts of things. Does the built-in camera web page support the web client plugins like for height? Does the built-in camera web page support the camera web client plugins? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, but basically the web client itself, we've got full control of the camera. So if you want to configure bits and pieces in the camera, you can do it. And then basically from there, you're just going into rules depending on the camera brand. You're going into rules, looking for an analytic event, depending on the camera brand. Choose your camera, and then it's just a matter of setting up a rule based on that particular, whatever you set up. So, this one I can do line crossing, and then I can send mobile notification. Away I go. So that just depends more on the camera brand. What kind of logging level is in the health monitor? Would it be possible to integrate debug verbose? I don't know the answers to that question, Joshua. That's more to do with the support side. So we've literally done it to make it easier for our support guys. It's just the fact that we're making it available to you guys to see as well. So that's honestly another one that to put through to Sergey on August the 9th. You spoke about the NX1 before and said that you can't upgrade to version 4.1, even with the Raspberry Pi that was sent out by NX. So basically with the Raspberry Pi's program that we did a little while ago, so I've got the same issue at my house actually. So I'll actually show you this one. So disconnect my house. So if you see there, it's forcing me to restart in 4.0. So you see there, I've got the NX1 and I've got a Raspberry Pi, and this is my setup in my house. And you see my very messy backyard. So with this particular one, the NX1 itself won't take the 4.1 update, and you can't have two different versions running at the same time. So with the Raspberry Pis running, basically what that allows you to do is keep connected to the cloud and keep everything going for forever. It just doesn't allow you to keep doing updates. Web relay outputs, what's the best solution there? Web relay outputs. There's a whole heap of different solutions to that one, mate. Can't really say which one's better over another one. To be honest, they all work. I'd probably speak to your distributor about that. VSP, ICS, MGTS, NES, whoever. Talk to whoever you're buying the licenses from, and they'll say theirs is the best. In the virtual camera portion, when uploading a file, what format does it support, and does it have a live stream of the camera? No, it does not do live stream, and we don't care what the video format is. Does NX5 allow client to run on it? NX5? I don't actually know what an NX5 is. Josh, if you could answer. So NX doesn't actually make any hardware. We make software. So for a little while we had the NX1s as well, but we don't actually make any hardware. So I don't actually know what an NX5 is. Daryl, at the beginning, I have a site with 100 cameras. If they buy now, do they get the full features over? Yeah. So basically, you get free updates for the life of the product. Once you buy the software, we do updates every 6 months or so. This one took a bit longer because there was a small virus going around. But you get free updates for the life of the product. That's kind of our thing. Any other questions, guys? Okay. Thanks for coming along today, guys. As I said, we'll have another one of these in about 3 weeks with the question and answers with the dev team and also with Tony. Any questions you have, I think most of you guys have my email address. Feel free to email me, call me, whatever you want with any questions you think of later. But yeah, thanks for coming along. Stay safe and stay healthy. Have a great day, guys.